Karolina Dean might well be my favourite champion so far in 2025. The only thing I don't like about her is the same reason why I'm wearing these sunglasses right now. I cannot bear to look at this character. I'm not even going to talk about the fashion, which even for an English person makes me want to jump out of a window. I'm talking about the fact that you go onto the champion page, your roster, and she jumps out at you like a dying star. She hurts to look at. I don't even know what the VFX team was smoking when they turned on that vibrant setting, but I'm having to wear sunglasses and she is still bright on the page, even now. Anyway, that's literally the end of my complaints. I love Karolina Dean. As a character, as the gameplay goes, I have played around with this character a hell of a lot more than I do normally when I make these videos. As you can tell, they might look a little bit rushed sometimes. But no, I have done plenty of runs with this character before eventually bringing you this footage. And I'll tell you right now, this is not A, the only way you can play Karolina Dean, and it's certainly not B, the best way to play Karolina Dean. I believe that there'll be plenty of people coming up with lots of ways to maximize this character in different situations, all to do with how you play around her sun and her power gain and her rotation as well, right? So Karolina, what you want to do is you want to spend time in the sun, and what this gives you is iridescence buffs. Now, these in themselves don't actually do anything, but they are a currency for her abilities. So if you see, block a basic attack, I'm placing energy vulnerabilities on the opponent. If I block an SB1, I place 3. If I block an SB2, I place 6. And these get consumed in order to do this effect. And then on the SB2, you can consume your iridescence buffs to place these incinerates. From there, every hit you deal of your special attacks will deal burst damage depending on the number of incinerates on the opponent. This is also energy damage, so you want to block special attacks, you want to be very aggressive with your power gain, and then you kill the opponent. That's what you do. And in terms of maximizing her damage, when I first started playing Karolina Dean, I thought it would be a simple SB2, SB1 rotation. You do that and it's lights out. That's just not the case. I tried that, and the SB1 did nothing. The SB2 did very little, and it was just very underwhelming. So what I believe the best rotation is for Karolina Dean is literally just to rinse the SB2s. The SB1, as far as I can tell, is a finisher attack. With her power gain, it is very powerful. If you just chuck an SB2, it takes the opponent very close to dying. You'll be throwing multiple of these SB2s in a fight very, very quickly. Then you just finish the SB1 to finish it. She has one more buff next to her power bar there, or next to her health bar rather. That's an instinct buff. It's permanent. It allows her to parry non-contact attacks, which is kind of trademark because she is designed to be a Zola counter. While she's in her sun, she can chain her heavy from her basic combo, like America Chavez, like Deathless Thanos, like Gladiator, like so many Cosmic Champions. And yeah, that's what she's designed to do. It also kind of leans into a sort of passive kind of gameplay where you can really stall in the sun. While she's in the stun, she stands perfectly still, and you can charge this heavy for a really, really long time, and that duration of the stun cannot be altered by tech champions. So champions like Shocker, for example, who has that passive limber, would reduce that stun duration. Not going to happen. Right, you can just stall, gain a bunch of power, and not in this footage, but in earlier footage I have, where I was mucking around with the rotation, it's possible to throw off like SB2, SB1 without the opponent throwing a single special attack. You can play her really, really slowly, minimize the number of hits you do, and you can just stand there like that. You can see like Rocket was being passive, and yeah, I want him to throw that SB1 so I can gain the energy vulnerabilities, so I can absolutely go to town on this lad, but I don't need to. I can play it a little bit slower and be perfectly safe just standing around, stalling the fight, and when I block those special attacks, I will consume some iridescence buffs to glance. So she's really, really tanky if you just put that block up. And I really like playing her. I really like playing her. It is also possible to just ignore the sun altogether, right? Obviously, you do want the sun for some abilities, but it is also possible just to return to the sun every now and then and otherwise play very aggressively. If you just want to go 5-hit combo, pound into the opponent, and then come back to the sun for either a refresher of iridescence buffs, or just to get that burst damage on the SB2, that's also fine, right? That's certainly a way of playing her. I haven't tested like every single one of these styles completely. I don't know which is best. The one you're seeing here is where I kind of use the sun as my battle ground, right? I will do battle in the sun, but I'll be really aggressive in that place. I won't play passive. I won't just let the power gain do its thing. I'll hit the opponent, come back, parry, hit the opponent, really stay in that sun while gaining power from basic combos, right? So I'm kind of combining these two methods of being really ultra aggressive and only returning to the sun, and being really passive and just not hitting the opponent. But all three of these I think are completely valid, which I love. This character certainly has a skill cap, and you'll learn like the best way to manipulate your character and place her on the screen in response to certain stimuli from the opponent. I absolutely love that. Now, what you're seeing on screen right now is a definite weakness of Karolina Dean. Incinerate immunity. Unlike Nico Minoru, who, when faced with a poison immune champion, will replace her poison with corrosion so you don't get completely screwed over, Karolina Dean gets completely screwed over. She does have a synergy that I am running, I'll talk about synergies in a second, with Nico that allows her to replace this with plasma if a tech character is immune, but that's just a tech character. So, alright, she has a synergy, but it's just against techs. But I will grant her that Incinerate immunity is not particularly common in the tech class, and if it is present, often it's locked behind their armor up. That's how they unlock the immunity, and with her awakened ability, she can pulverize armor ups, so she can kind of get around it herself. Incinerate immunity is most common in Mystic characters, and you're not really going to be taking her there at all. So, okay, weakness, not so much. Another weakness you actually saw earlier, which was against Unstoppable Colossus. So, Unstoppable, she has no way of getting around that. If there's some sort of mechanic in the fight that limits her ability to control where she is on the screen, if there's a champion that really restricts where she's going to be, for example, Serpent's Inexorable, Unstoppable Colossus is Unstoppable, then she's going to struggle to get in the sun. And that's just going to really disrupt her flow. It's really going to slow down the fight. But up against Deadpool X-Force here, you're going to see I get in the sun for a second time, and this SP2 just completely rinses him. He's down to 10%. I believe we're going to be able to finish him off with either basic combos or an SP1 here. Yeah, I mean, he would have died with that combo, but we went for the SP1 anyway. And when you play Karolina, I think something that's actually quite fun is you start kind of like guessing where the sun's going to be. And I don't know if it's random. I think it is random where it is on the screen. But I don't know. Maybe the more you play Karolina, certainly what I felt, I was getting luckier and luckier the more I played Karolina with where the sun's going to trigger. I'm like, okay, naturally it's going to come here and here. And then it kind of flowed with the fight. Occasionally it was a bit clunky, and I would be wanting to push the opponent further back, and then it appeared off stage on the left, which was a bit odd. But there are other moments where the sun was really, really nice, where I would punish into the opponent, it would go away, and I'd want to get that power. And there, you see, it would just trigger right where I am. I can gain the Zero Distance buffs needed to maximize the damage from the SP2. And I don't know if it's random, I'm fairly sure it is, but I think an experienced Karolina player will seamlessly transition from sun to sun to sun, depending on where it comes up in the arena, which is just so fun for me. I absolutely love the way this character was designed. There goes Rogue. I am running a couple synergies that boost her damage output, and I will say, having done some runs on this map without the synergies and then with the synergies, they do help. But these two characters are not baggage, right? If you want to take Nico and Photon as support characters for Karolina, you're not carrying around champions that can't look after themselves. I understand not everybody's going to have a Nico right now. A lot of people have Photon, but not everybody. These synergies are not necessary, but they're very nice. Photon just flat out reduces the opponent's energy resistance. Nico increases the potency of those incinerate effects, which does translate into her burst damage. So I run it, but it also allows her to flip Incinerate to Plasma against Incinerate immune tech champions. And yeah, here against Cable, I mean, he's just going to get nuked. We're nearly at the end of the quest. She's very, very quick when she gets going. Those burst damage bursts are very, very powerful. And yeah, he's going to go down there with the SP1. I can't get a handle of whether she's like this unstoppable nuke or if she's a bit inconsistent. I think she's somewhere in between. She's certainly not the next Deathless Thanos. She's not the next CGR. She's not a mind-blowing nuke. Because again, like, he doesn't really interact with power back boost in the same way because all of its burst damage to get around Zola's cowardice. But I don't think she's this incredible nuke, but she is going to be very, very powerful, and in the right hands, exceptionally dangerous, right? I think she's very, very versatile. Just so you can see, like, the potential for hit minimization, just dancing around in the sun, will allow you to get around some opponents that she really has no right to get around. So in this longer fight against the boss, I do showcase the SB3. What the SB3 gives you is an Intensify buff, which obviously intensifies your power gain, which is very, very nice, and also places 11 Incinerates. So the next SB2 you throw, and you will be able to throw an SB2, believe me, because that power gain is bloody powerful, will be supercharged, which is nice, and then you can just get into this rotation with an awful lot of Incinerates on the opponent. And see there, maxed out at 12, we can't go any further than that, unfortunately. Would be quite nice to have a synergy that gives you like another 6. Like, that would be ridiculous, but you know, I'm here for shit being ridiculous. Yeah, we chuck off another SB2, and now with that SB3 rotation, it's very easy just to maximize these Incinerates, and another SB2 is going to cap off this Archangel. Now, I haven't actually done the maths for where she is on my leaderboard, but after we're done with this, we are going to cut away. It's actually something else I didn't even mention there, but you saw me doing it. Parrying the opponent's specials, get used to it, because it does actually help. Yeah, an Archangel goes down in 75 seconds, so I'm really enjoying playing Karolina Dean. Let's cut away to the leaderboard. And I'll tell you what, this leaderboard is actually fleshing out quite nicely. We've got 14 characters on here. We're only halfway through the year. This is shaping up to be a proper leaderboard at this point. And Karolina comes in nearly slap bam in the middle. 8th out of 14, behind Phoenix, who I am not a fan of. And, you know, while this leaderboard is useful as like a general indicator of where champions kind of will be, we've got Cyclops, Okoye, Jean Grey at the top where they belong, and then Nico Minoru, Captain Britain, Yelena Belova, and Arnim Zola. Quite difficult to set up that one. At the bottom where they belong, without their optimum scenarios. But there are champions on this list that are higher up than they should be, like Falcon, and there are champions on this list that are lower down than they should be. For example, I believe Karolina Dean and Gallon. So, like, look, does this potentially show that her peak damage output isn't quite up to scratch compared to some of the biggest damage-dealing champions in this game? Yes, I think that beyond the SB3 rotation that I showed against Archangel, she doesn't really have much more grunt than that. That's it. I think she'll do very well against Zola in Battlegrounds and other Battleground scenarios. However, her peak damage output might be lacking a little bit. It doesn't take away from the fact that she is still probably my favourite champion to come out of 2025 so far. She will definitely have her diehard fans. There'll be very good players that get their hands on Karolina and exploit her stun and her heavy charge just to ignore so many mechanics. And she's going to be a very powerful character. So yeah, she's still one of my favourites, even if technically you throw that SB2 and then the rest of the damage output kind of just goes. It just happens in bursts with Karolina. There's no like sustained damage output to return to, like with Okoye, like with Jean Grey. But yeah, I mean, Falcon was on crack when I did that run. I don't know how he's that high up. I do have a video on Falcon coming out very soon. But anyway, that's just about it for today. So if you have made it this far, then congratulations. You have an attention span greater than that of a goldfish. And go away.